At 8:32 a.m., the alarm at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson is still echoing when the lead F-22 Raptor tears away from the runway, climbing almost straight into the sky under a crushing 9G pull that cuts through the quiet Alaskan morning. There is no slow buildup, no warning, and no room for hesitation. 400 miles away, two Russian Tu-95 Bear H strategic aircraft, escorted by a pair of Su-35 Flanker E heavy fighters, are already pushing toward the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. These aircraft are known for carrying KH-101 long-range cruise systems designed to fly low, stay difficult to track, and reach targets far beyond the coastline. The American pilots drive their throttles forward, racing to meet the formation before it reaches a possible launch position. At the edge of the world, two major powers are moving toward a tense, high-speed encounter where every second matters. But this confrontation did not begin in the sky. It started more than an hour earlier, far below the clouds. At 7:15 a.m., the USS Hopper, a 9,000-ton Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, was cutting through 10-foot Arctic swells in the Gulf of Alaska. The ship was not simply patrolling, it was hunting for signals. Its AN/Spy-1D phased array radar, the core of the Aegis combat system, was already working through Russian electronic interference and locking onto the incoming aircraft while they were still in international airspace. The Hopper captured their altitude, speed, and heading with precision. Instead of staying quiet, the crew pushed that information through Link 16, a secure tactical network that moves battlefield data at extreme speed. By 7:45 a.m., the Aegis computer had already delivered a fire control quality track to NORAD headquarters. That early detection gave the American side a 90-minute advantage to organize its full response network. The USS Hopper did not just observe the Russian formation. It boxed it in digitally, working with Space Force satellites to make sure the two Tu-95 Bear H aircraft could not disappear beyond the curve of the Earth. Inside the Hopper's Combat Information Center, sailors were already running SM-6 launch simulations, calculating exactly where they could intercept any incoming cruise systems if the Russian aircraft opened their payload bays. By 9 o'clock a.m., the airspace above the Bering Strait had turned into a tactical chessboard. An E-3 Sentry AWACS was carving through the sky at 30,000 feet, its APY-2 rotating radar dome sweeping the air like a giant searchlight in darkness. The AWACS was not merely watching, it was guiding the F-22 Raptors into a stealthy pincer movement. The Tu-95 Bear H aircraft were loud, their Kuznetsov NK-12 turboprop engines producing such a distinct sound signature that even the U.S. Navy's SOSUS underwater arrays could pick them up through the water. But the Su-35 Flanker E escorts were not flying blind. They were trying to use their Urbis E passive radar to detect the American fighters without giving away too much of their own position. The F-22 Raptors answered with complete electronic silence. At 9:12 a.m., the lead Raptor pilot rolled into a split S maneuver, diving out of the sun to stay inside the Russian fighters' blind spots. He was not relying on his own radar yet. Instead, he was receiving a live stream of targeting data from the AWACS and the USS Hopper directly into his helmet-mounted cueing system. The American jets were using their AN/APG-77A ESA radar in a low probability of intercept mode, shifting frequencies so quickly that Russian sensors could mistake the signal for background noise. The Russian pilots scanned the horizon, searching for aircraft they could not see, unaware that the F-22s were already positioned above and behind them. At 9:15 a.m., the American pilots armed their systems. Every Russian aircraft in the formation was now digitally locked. The F-22's AN/ALR-94 electronic warfare suite is already studying the Russian jets in detail, recording their radar patterns and building a signature library that could be used in future encounters. Every signal, every scan, every tiny electronic pulse is being collected. The Russian pilots are moving into a situation where each decision they make is already being answered by an invisible network of aircraft, ships, satellites, and command systems, working together as one. Their first real surprise comes at 9:20 a.m. Without any warning from their electronic defense systems, two F-22s suddenly appear beside their wings. The American jets did not simply fly into position. They used stealth, patience, and perfect timing to arrive inside visual range before the Russians even understood they were there. The Raptors ease into a slow, high angle of attack maneuver using their thrust vectoring engines to hold position beside the turboprop aircraft with almost impossible control. The message is silent, but unmistakable. We have been here for 20 minutes, and you never noticed. Every American fighter is configured for a scenario the pilots are confident they can control. Each F-22 carries 6 AIM-120D AMRAAMs hidden inside internal bays, preserving the aircraft's stealth profile. These long-range air-to-air interceptors can reach beyond 100 miles and use their own active radar seekers in the final phase. And if the situation moves into close range, each pilot also has 2 AIM-9X sidewinders available. The AIM-9X is an off-bore sight system, which means the pilot can cue it through the helmet visor even when the aircraft itself is not pointed directly at the opposing jet. By 9:35 a.m., the Russian Su-35 pilots try to press the Americans, banking toward them in an attempt to force a reaction. The Raptor pilots do not flinch. They use the F-22's superior agility to remain behind the Russian fighters, holding the most dangerous position in aerial maneuvering, high and aft, where the advantage belongs almost completely to the aircraft in control. The Su-35 may have Saturn AL-41 F-1S engines with 3D thrust vectoring, but it is also carrying external fuel tanks and R-77 air-to-air systems that add drag and reduce its freedom to maneuver. The F-22, with its system stored internally, moves through the air like a blade. The American pilots remain calm, their communication handled through secure tactical data links. There is no drama in the cockpit, no wasted motion, only quiet efficiency. A Russian formation worth hundreds of millions of dollars is being held inside a tactical box by 2 pilots who have barely needed to change their breathing. While the tension in the air continues to build, the U.S. Navy is providing a powerful layer of protection from the surface. At 9:45 a.m., the USS Hopper and the USS Kidd have their Mark 41 vertical launch systems at a high state of readiness. Each destroyer is a $1.8 billion example of modern multi-domain defense, built to protect the fleet, the coastline, and the airspace above it. If the Russian strategic aircraft had released a KH-101 cruise system, the destroyers were prepared to respond with the SM-6. The SM-6 is a $4.3 million interceptor designed to defeat threats ranging from low-flying cruise systems to advanced high-speed targets in their final approach phase. Because of cooperative engagement capability, the Hopper would not even need to rely only on its own radar picture. It could launch an SM-6 using targeting data from the AWACS aircraft, allowing the interceptor to meet the incoming threat beyond the destroyer's direct radar horizon. And beneath the surface, another layer of the operation is already underway. At 9:50 a.m., a P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft circles 50 miles away. It has dropped a pattern of SSQ-53G sonobuoys into the water, listening carefully for any sign that Russian Beret-class submarines might be using the air encounter as a distraction. Above the waves, the Raptors hold the sky. On the surface, the destroyers hold the line. Below the water, the Poseidon watches the deep. The Russians are not facing a single aircraft, a single ship, or a single radar. They are facing an entire system. The Poseidon is carrying Mark 54 lightweight undersea defense systems, while its AN/APY-10 radar scans the ocean surface for the smallest sign of unusual activity. The Russians are not simply being watched by 2 jets. They are facing a connected defensive wall that stretches from the ocean floor all the way into the upper atmosphere. The coordination is incredibly precise. The P-8A shares its acoustic data with the USS Hopper, while the Hopper feeds the larger tactical picture back to the F-22s. Every platform sees part of the puzzle, but together they create one complete view of the entire battle space. This is what overwhelming coordination looks like. At 10:15 a.m., American endurance becomes part of the message. A KC-135 Stratotanker meets the F-22s over the Beaufort Sea for mid-air refueling. The Raptors can remain on station as long as the pilots can stay sharp and focused. Nearby, the KC-46 Pegasus supports the operation, making sure the response network never loses momentum. Keeping a single F-22 in the air can cost around $85,000 per hour, but the value of the operation is easy to understand. By investing roughly $2.5 million into the full mission, the United States has shown it can manage a serious strategic challenge near North America without losing control of the situation. Think about the economics of power. For the cost of a small real estate project, the United States just demonstrated that Russia's long-range bomber fleet can be contained by a modern, connected defense system. The Alaskan oil pipelines, the port of Anchorage, and the shipping routes carrying billions of dollars in annual trade remained protected. The Russian Tu-95s, expensive to maintain and costly to fly, were forced to turn back without completing a single objective. Their stealth-coated KH-101 long-range cruise systems never even left their racks. This is not only a defense success, it is also an economic signal. It tells global markets that Arctic trade routes remain protected and that American energy infrastructure is being watched by a layered, highly responsive network. At 10:20 a.m., the skill of the KC-46 Pegasus boom operator shows the human side of the mission. While the aircraft move through rough Arctic turbulence, the refueling boom is guided with extraordinary precision. That connection allows the F-22 pilots to take on fuel while keeping their attention on the Russian formation. It is a seamless transition, the kind of maneuver many air forces struggle to perform even under calm conditions in broad daylight. Here, it is being done during a tense, high-pressure intercept over one of the most unforgiving regions on Earth. At 10:45 a.m., the Russian aircraft finally bank west, turning back toward the Russian Far East. The F-22s follow at a controlled distance until the formation is well outside the ADIZ, making sure there are no last-second surprises. As the Russians move away, the AWACS and the USS Hopper continue tracking them for another 300 miles. The American network does not relax just because the aircraft are leaving. It keeps observing, measuring, and learning. The USS Hopper uses its AN/SLQ 32 V6 electronic warfare suite to record the radar signatures and radio frequencies from the Russian Su-35s. This information is one of the most valuable outcomes of the entire encounter. It is called electronic fingerprinting. Every radar system has its own unique pattern, including pulse timing, repetition frequency, and power behavior. By capturing that data at 10:55 a.m., the U.S. Navy gains a clearer picture of how these specific Russian aircraft operate in the real world. That information will be uploaded to central intelligence systems where it can help refine the electronic protection and detection tools used across the fleet. Ships, aircraft, and command centers can all benefit from what was gathered during this one encounter. The Russians did not just leave without achieving their goal. They also revealed valuable electronic patterns that the American side can study long after the aircraft disappear from the radar screen. By 11:30 a.m., the F-22s are back on the runway at Elmendorf. The flight is over, but the analysis is only beginning. The message from the encounter is clear. The Arctic has become a connected battle space where the side that moves information faster controls the outcome. The U.S. Navy and NORAD have shown that the northern approach is tightly guarded. Even in one of the most remote regions on Earth, American technology can build a complete overhead picture of the situation, leaving the opposing side almost no chance to create surprise. Yet the most impressive part of this entire machine is still the human element. The F-22 pilot is not only flying the aircraft, he is managing a flood of data in real time. He is operating a platform with enormous onboard processing power while enduring 9 Gs in a freezing cockpit over the Arctic. His focus, combined with the discipline of the sailors aboard the USS Hopper, is what turns technology into control. Meanwhile, the Russian crews are heading back toward base with a difficult explanation waiting for them. Their $300 million formation was contained by a network they could not see, could not disrupt, and could not outrun. This intercept did more than protect Alaska. It sent a message to every major military power watching from a distance. Challenging the U.S. Navy and Air Force inside an integrated environment is a losing gamble. The response network moves too quickly, the sensors see too clearly, and the coordination is too disciplined. As the Russian aircraft return to base, their crews are left with one uncomfortable reality. They were never truly controlling the encounter. From the moment their engines came to life, they were already being monitored inside an American tactical framework. Now imagine that you are the tactical action officer aboard the USS Hopper. The time is 9:30 a.m. Russian aircraft are being tracked on your Spy-1D radar. Suddenly, your sonar team reports a contact below the surface, moving at 40 miles per hour. It looks unusual, and there is a possibility that a Russian Borai-class strategic submarine is trying to use the air intercept as cover to move past your position. At the same moment, the E-3OX reports that one of the Su-35 flankers has turned toward the F-22s and activated its electronic interference suite. Now you have a decision to make. Your Link 16 network has limited bandwidth. Do you prioritize sending undersea tracking data to a P-8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol aircraft? Or do you focus your electronic warfare support on helping the F-22s push through the Su-35's interference? If you ignore the undersea contact, it may move into a more dangerous position. If you ignore the electronic interference, the F-22s could lose part of their tactical advantage and be forced into a much closer confrontation. So what do? Do you divide your defense and risk being only partially effective in both areas? Or do you commit to the air picture and trust that the undersea contact is only a distraction? Comment your tactics below. How would you manage the response network when the pressure is this high? In the modern world, the invisible contest is often won by the side that can process information faster than the opponent can react. The Russian Tu-95s and Su-35s came searching for a weakness, but instead, they found a layered system that gave them almost no room to maneuver. The coordinated power of the U.S. military remains the defining force in the Arctic, helping keep the northern approach secure and the skies under control. If you want more second-by-second breakdowns of how the U.S. military uses networked power to support global stability, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. We will keep decoding the technology and tactics that shape the modern front line. The situation described in this video is a technical and tactical analysis based on reports of U.S. intercepts of Russian aircraft near Alaska. While this video is inspired by real-world military platforms, technical specifications, and regional tensions, the specific events, tactical decisions, and encounter sequences shown here are hypothetical dramatizations. They are used only to illustrate U.S. Navy and NORAD capabilities, defensive doctrine, and layered response systems. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware, and keep your eyes on the horizon. The Navy certainly does.